I cannot believe you can do that. Are you serious? Like, so no matter where you are, you can I do not think I'm going to be sleeping tonight. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth officially got its demo showcase like previews revealed. I did a video, I will admit, a pretty rushed video. It's already up on the channel. Feel free to check it out right now. I wasn't invited to go play the game, but a lot of other content creators and media outlets were, and they have a lot of details, a lot of great information packed into it. And I created a video based off of what I saw in their footage and also details that they mentioned. So again, it's linked below for you guys to check out. We got some amazing news and some pretty disappointing news in this one. All kinds of things, man, relating to the party and the open world, which we did get a little bit of a glimpse of in those showcases, in those videos. Shout outs to Baby Seal, shout outs to Max, shout outs to everybody that's been putting out amazing coverage of this. It's just fantastic. But we really got some interesting stuff to talk about in here. So make sure you guys are subscribed, hit that notification bell to not miss out on any updates, because we got a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like, legit, it's a ton of stuff. And you don't want to be anywhere else. Now, with that being said, let's get into this video. There are tons of articles, lots of ones that are in English, lots of ones that are in Japanese that have been translated that we are probably going to be going through over the course of the next few videos. Not going to be able to cover everything in one because there's just so much, but there are some things I noticed specifically with this inverse article that I think is very important, and we're going to jump through it for a little bit. Nomura actually elaborates here, saying we won't be making immense departures from the original. With Remake, we went further in depth into Avalanche and etc. And with Rufus as well, you can sort of expect new episodes that did not exist in the original, where we get to know more about him and dig a little bit deeper, which is great because Rufus is a very important part to Final Fantasy VII as a whole. In the original game, he does play as like secondary bad guy after Sephiroth. I mean, Nomura actually explains that as much in this follow-up excerpt here. But scrolling down to the actual article, let's start off with Hamaguchi talking about synergy attacks. How did you balance combat around new options like combos and synergy attacks? Hamaguchi says it was coming from a place of thinking about the overall game experience and scenario. As you know, in Rebirth, the characters are leaving Midgar and are going on a journey that eventually leads to the Forgotten Capital. I love that they're just continuing to hammer that home. Along the way, relationships and tighter bonds are formed, so we really wanted to align the battle system to the scenario and worldview and thought about creating this more immersive experience with the bond between the characters in mind. Fantastic idea. As you continue to play, the characters will be having all kinds of crazy dialogue, experiences, banter. You can see that being reflected in the combat with all these new moves and different things that they can do and the things that they say while doing them. So I'm looking forward to that. It kind of really creates this like friendship journey aura, and it's just a good time overall. I mean, I didn't even get to play the game, but looking at the footage that I've seen so far, I am 100% convinced. I was not expecting this game to be the way that it is. With Remake, the overall battle system was thought of in terms of command-based functions and action-based functions. Synergy system can be defined as belonging to either of those two functions, command or action. We have the synergy actions, an action-based element where there's no gauge depletion, and that can be used for guarding or deploying aerial combos. Users who are skilled at action gameplay can really have fun with the system. Oh, we do. We have a lot of fun with it, and I can't thank you guys enough for it. The synergy ability is geared more towards the command function, and there is a specific gauge that once filled deploys that ability. Players can switch amongst characters and enjoy various combinations and feel the bonds and relationships between them two. I do wonder if eventually they'll introduce, or we will find out about triple combos if possible, but that's to discover at a later date. Or maybe it's something that they're holding off until part 3. This excerpt here talks a lot about the mini game portions and whatnot, but this right here, this is the big one you guys came for. I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but we're gonna jump into it. How does the open world and exploration work in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? How did you make sure exploration was satisfying? Hamaguchi straight up says, in terms of the world map, we can think of this as one massive, very vast world map. Within it, there will be dungeons, cities, and oceans, where the player is able to have a seamless experience of being able to traverse and explore all of these elements. When we're thinking about the open world concept, there are two types that we can actually look at. One is where it's just a completely open world from the get-go, and the player is able to just go anywhere, explore everything from the beginning, basically like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. The second is where it's not completely open in the beginning, and some parts may be restricted, but as the player progresses through the story, some locations open up, and we're actually able to explore it. For Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's more of the latter. As the story progresses, the characters and players are able to reach new locations in which there will be specific or unique experiences. Moreover, as the story progresses, you'll go on further and be able to return to the places that you explored previously to see that there are now more unique and new experiences that you can have. Mind-blowing to hear this. I mean, we've seen in the footage, I pointed this out in the video before, but you actually can look at the map, right, for the demo portion of the Junon area. And as you walk around every little bit of area, you are uncovering new areas and new parts of that map. While the Junon area is a little small, sort of like self-contained thing for the demo, because as you try to expand certain barriers, it does say unable to access that in this playable demo as of right now. You can see from the map, everything just unlocks seamlessly. And they actually mentioned this multiple times in here, that it's going to be a seamless experience of being able to traverse and open the world up and explore all of these elements, which I was not expecting this for this game. I was full on expecting this to be a chapter-based game, kind of like what Remake was, where we get pushed forward towards new cities, access new areas, and that's about it. Sort of like an in-between of maybe a smaller version of what Final Fantasy 16 did with its like zones. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is not doing zones. All of this stuff is completely open and integrated seamlessly. Like, you can straight up walk from one location to the other without having to really go through a loading screen, unless there is a cutscene there, of course. And case in point, if you look at the gameplay footage of the Junon area, you could actually, from the beginning, as soon as it starts, if you want, walk straight towards the boss, continue fighting on in a Junon area. The only time you really see loading screens is when you're doing fast traveling or anything of this sort, or a cutscene shows up or something, right? But we actually see the player, whoever's controlling that demo, walk around and do a significant amount of things, like just exploring different areas, interacting with the world, doing side quests. It's just really awesome stuff. To the point where when they start walking towards Junon and then they continue into it and we meet up with Rhonda, there's a little bit of a story segment there, and then we jump into a boss fight, you realize, holy crap, backtracking, walking to other areas, entering towns even, all of that is seamlessly loading. And it's all on the same map, all in the same playing area. So we're not going to be going through like loading screens or zones or having to fast travel to a new zone in order to access a smaller area within that zone, right? This is fantastic, and it's going to function very similar to what the original game functioned. It's pretty much the same thing, and we see it firsthand in this very short but very fantastic demo explanation for the Junon open world area. Tomorrow, actually, as I'm recording this, we will be able to see TGS actually is doing a showcase for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. We're going to be streaming it here live on the channel. And I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, we get to see some more stuff relating to the demo. But make sure you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on it, because that's going to be very big. This Friday night is going to be a massive one here on the channel, and I will be live here for it all with you guys. Now, unfortunately, the very disappointing news, or bad news, I guess you could say, is relating to the party. Characters that we know are going to be in it are Yuffie, Barrett, Cait Sith, Aerith, Tifa, Red 13, and Cloud. However, you'll notice we don't mention Vincent or Sid. Well, the interviewer in Inverse actually asked that question, and actually this was answered multiple times across like IGN, Game Informer, broken down in Japanese articles, you name it. They've pretty much gone ahead and confirmed this everywhere that you can look. We've seen that Yuffie and Vincent will be joining the party. Are we going to be seeing their backstories integrated into Rebirth? Vincent won't be a controllable character in Rebirth and will be more of a guest character similar to Red 13 in Remake. The PlayStation blog article did say that he was going to be an accompanying character, and it was kind of like iffy on the explanation of that, but it's actually confirmed right here. Vincent, unfortunately, will not be a controllable character in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. He will be in the third title, but that's just not what they're doing right now, and I get it. From what I've seen so far with what Rebirth has, it does contain a lot of stuff. Like, besides the crafting element and being able to find materials to do that, exploration, as we saw in Maximilian Dude's video, he was able to swim out as a group to a separate uncharted like island and find a bunch of rare materials and stuff there that you otherwise wouldn't be able to access. All the mini games that they're doing, all the combat element stuff, synergy, and on top of that, just making sure that it runs good and is polished. It would be a perfect game if Vincent and Sid would be playable in it, but it seems like that's something that's going to be left off for the third one that we'll have to wait for. But at this point, right, are we all masters of waiting? Am I right, chat? And again, IGN reiterates as well, he'll be an accompanying character in Rebirth and not a playable character. It's quite unfortunate, but It is what it is. Now, the crazier elements when it comes to the new interviews that have come out, of course, have been related to the Japanese articles. Thankfully, Shinra Archaeology Department, Shinra Arc on Twitter, I'll be sure to link them down below in the description. Feel free to check them out. They cover all things Final Fantasy VII and are working very fast on translating all of this stuff because they did multiple articles from Famitsu, Dengeki, GamerJP, and there's a lot of very valuable information in this. So again, shout outs to them. In Famitsu, they asked Nomura whether Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's depiction of events up to the Forgotten Capital means a certain tragic scene will be depicted. Nomura says he can't answer, but the game will indeed take us up to the very end of the Forgotten Capital. So there you go. Again, they're reiterating that. This is a major W on Nomura's part, and I really do appreciate them asking this and including this. But Nomura says that the remake trilogy will include all locations from the original game. He said that from the beginning, he enforced a policy that no location would be deleted, even if the order were changed or the volume of content had to be adjusted, which is awesome. And they've been telling us that with before, stating how like Wutai will not be in Rebirth. However, it's not going to be not included in the game. They've moved it to the third title, and it will be more expanded area that we get to explore later on. And that seems to be the case for a lot of stuff. Like we do in the demo, we do hear that they pretty much skip Fort Condor, but that's actually explained by Red 13, where he says Fort Condor is actually an island, and on that island rests a bird on the top of a Maka reactor. However, it's as of right now impossible to access that island to his knowledge. So that clearly means we will be visiting that location somewhere down the line, and that also piggybacks back to what they were saying about how some locations, as we continue to play through the story, will eventually become unlocked and we'll be able to go through that together. So I think that's a great addition. Nomura also says the game's many locations are the one reason Rebirth will be presented on 2 discs. When discussing whether to split the project into 2 or 3 parts, the team agreed that the second would have to go up to the Forgotten Capital if it were going to be 3. And again, the title is 150 gigs total, and it's going to be install disc based. It's not, you won't be swapping disc on your PS5 in order to play the second part of the game. It's to install the data, and it's quite a lot being packed onto that. Hamaguchi also says that in addition to Gold Saucer minigames, there will be minigames on the world map, quest-specific minigames, and recurring minigames throughout the world. As seen in the latest trailer, certain remake characters will be making a comeback too. That's awesome. There's going to be even more things to do out there in the open area. Bro, they're going all out with this game. Kitase says that it's important to end Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in a very memorable way that will set up the stage for the third and final entry. The shocking scene in the Forgotten Capital, he believes they've done things in a way that will generate much anticipation for part 3. Massive cliffhanger. Oh my god. I don't want to talk too much on that because it's a lot of people's like first time playing this, but that's going to be a heavy moment. Nomura does state that Zack is the key to the mystery that they've worked into the remake project. He reiterates that the main through line of the story will follow the original, but the new mystery will run parallel with it. Reminiscent of the cover that they're doing, where Zack is on one side, Cloud is on one side, and Sephiroth is in the middle. Both of those paths are running parallel to each other if you technically look at it from that angle, right? I know that's a photo of Tifa and Aerith, but you know what I mean, the main promo shot. Hamaguchi says that the one purpose of exploring the world map is developing your materia and its ties to the game's story. The idea is that as you progress, you'll be able to develop new materia. That is fantastic. I wonder if we'll be able to access like legendary crazy stuff if we find like the proper materials or certain quest lines to do that. Rebirth's director Hamaguchi says the game's open world is pretty much all seamlessly connected. The Mithril Mine connects to the grasslands to the Junon area, and it features one large world map that contains the game's cities and dungeons. And we know that we go to the Gold Saucer and many other locations that are on an entirely other continent, so we will be able to travel between those multiple times and experience those areas in different portions of the story. This game is huge, baby. And here we go. This actually brings it up right here. Hamaguchi says that in the later half of the game, players will gain the ability to move through the ocean by a certain means OG fans will know. The eastern, western, and northern continents, what? Are all seamlessly connected into one large map. I mean, well, yeah, that makes sense if they're going to the Forgotten Capital, but dude, oh, that's so great. Hamaguchi also says that unlike the original game, there is no PHS to organize your party. Instead, all members move around as a group, making for a lively scene at all times that expands as you recruit more allies. And it does make me smile every time the camera would pan back and you see all the characters following behind you. It just, puts a big ass smile on my face, and it makes me so happy. Nomura dodges a question about how much story players will be able to enjoy with Zack in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and he kicks it to Hamaguchi instead, who says players will find many enjoyable aspects in terms of their existence with Zack. So they actually confirmed obviously before that Zack is playable, but there we go. Some more details relating to that. That's exciting. We knew it was going to happen. We saw the materia in his weapon, but man, I can't wait to see how they expand on that. And this is actually really big right here. Nomura says that Wutai has been moved to the third part of the remake trilogy with plans to scale it up. The main scenario for part 3 is already finished, and the team is currently figuring out which characters will be appearing in it. Now, we talked about this before, how remake part 3, whatever that title is, has already been in development for quite some time, and they've been actively working on it. It seems like the main scenario is finished up for it, and now they're just working on making a game out of it. So a lot of these assets in Rebirth will be reused, just like what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And the great thing about that is development time won't take as long. It'll be done much more swifter, much more easier too, and will get a overall better product out of it. Case in point with Rebirth so far, it is light years the game that Final Fantasy VII Remake was and is. I can confidently say that because I played Remake a lot. From the things that I've seen so far in Rebirth, I can't even believe the same people made that game. Hamaguchi says that initially the development team tried to keep the game's script around the same length as Remakes, but ultimately it ended up being roughly twice as long. I love it. That's juicy. Give me more of that. Nomura says that the 3 characters in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's recently unveiled key visual will play important roles. Sephiroth's purpose will become clear, and Zack will be a key figure at the mercy of his world's anomalies. We do see that some of their promo stuff mentions specifically that Zack has cheated death for now, and they put for now in that segment. So it seems that a lot of things will be gunning after Zack to ensure that he is not around. How the hell does all of this play out together? We know Sephiroth is manipulating things, manipulating people, gaslighting them to convince them that people are not who they seem to be by telling Cloud, for example, in the other trailer that Tifa can't be who she says she is because he killed her, so then who the hell is this person? And Cloud actually might end up believing that. We have to see exactly how far Sephiroth will unfortunately make him take it. And then we see Zack has his own things going on in his world, and that's represented by the Terrier timeline. So Sephiroth is actually trying to actively blend and merge all of these together, and I think that will successfully happen either towards the last parts of Rebirth or maybe towards the middle. We'll start to see those effects take place, but either way, it's very exciting. What a roller coaster ride. Nomura says that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has richer variety and its story has more ups and downs than the previous game, so he expects players' emotions will be shaken up more this time. With the story moving forward and toward its climax, they've made sure to include some surprises. They also talked about that before, how they want this game to be as much of an impactful moment for the OG like veterans as well as like the newcomers. So there's something for all of us in it, and I can't wait to see exactly what that'll be. Hamaguchi says that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will continue to use the chapter system remake used for the ease of dividing up scenario, which I greatly do appreciate. At first, I didn't really like the chapters and how it was set up, but it does make New Game Plus runs and obtaining things that you lost previously much more easier than having to replay the entire thing and going back over it. But regardless of which chapter you're in, you could still go back and explore the entire world whenever you want. Wow! I can't believe you can do that. I cannot believe you can do that. Are you serious? Like, so no matter where you are, you can you can go through that story of that chapter at a later, go back to an earlier portion and still travel around. Or oh my god, this game. How is all this going to work? I'm just so blown away right now. And shout out to, again, Shinra Arc for putting all this together. They're doing a fantastic job. This is an amazing, amazing work that they're doing. I'm pretty sure more will be coming up, but don't worry. We'll be doing plenty of other videos. We have some amazing news in the fact that the open world is an actual open world that we can access at any time. As long as we also progress through the story. If we backtrack via chapters, we'll still be able to access that world regardless of the fact of wherever we backtrack towards in the story. And not only that, we're seeing an amazing amount of coverage when involving the characters, involving the combat. We're gonna have to do a separate combat thing, of course. I have a lot of things I need to talk about for that because you guys know that's my specialty and that's what I really enjoy doing a lot. But the story stuff and the gameplay mechanics, that stuff is very important, and I think that it's very impactful that a lot of you guys get to know this information, because I know a lot of you guys aren't on Twitter and a lot of you guys are not going to be actively searching around for these things or reading these articles. So I want to bring you guys into entertaining videos with this information packed into it so you guys can enjoy. The main unfortunate, disappointing, and I guess you could say bad news for some people is that Vincent and Sid will not be playable in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That will be instead a Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 thing. And we're going to have to see how exactly that plays out. It's going to be very interesting. But either way, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Between our video that we uploaded yesterday talking about the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo and breaking down what we've seen in it so far in a very sporadic and hype way, I want to know from you guys, what was your favorite parts in that? And also, what did you like most hearing today? The fact that Nomura made it a point to not get rid of anything. Nothing is being deleted. If anything, it will be repurposed and done in a later part, if anything, but everything needs to be in this game. That blows me away. I thought that that was not going to be the case with the Remake Project, but they sure enough are proving me wrong there, and I am happy for it. So shout outs to Nomura. Fantastic job. Love the fact that he's taking charge and doing these things, and him and Hamaguchi make a great team. They really do. Can't wait to see exactly where this game takes us, what more information comes out of it. It's going to be a very busy weekend, so you guys are not going to want to be anywhere else. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. TGS is coming up tomorrow, and we are going to be streaming it, and there's going to be a lot of big details coming from that. You do not want to miss out on it. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.